Welcome back, it's season 3, Beyond Business. Come ride with me. Nick Freno in the house, sharing stories that inspire. From every walk of life, we're lighting that fire. Lessons learned, journeys shared, good vibes and laughs, we're fully prepared. Brought to you by Buick Real Estate. Let's dive deep, it's gonna be great. From the ups and downs, we rise and grind. Every guest has a tale, every tale is a find. Exploring the wisdom that life has to give. Together we grow, that's how we live. Lessons learned, journeys shared, good vibes and laughs, we're fully prepared. Brought to you by Buick Real Estate. Let's dive deep, it's gonna be great. So grab a seat, don't miss the ride. Beyond Business with Nick, let's take it in stride. Join the conversation, let's make it last. With stories and insights, we're having a blast.
Beyond Business. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors for Beyond Business. Buick Commercial Real Estate as our Season 3 sponsor. We really do appreciate you so much. Cole and Tim, you guys are the bomb. The team you got is the bomb. The team that Tim has built as a driving force behind Season 3 of Beyond Business. And if you're looking for expert guidance in commercial real estate throughout Central Illinois, Tim Buick and Cole Babcock are the professionals you can trust. Their dedication to helping clients navigate the commercial property landscape is truly unmatched. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, lease, or invest, Tim and Cole are committed to providing personalized service and guidance every step of the way. Their passion for helping clients navigate the complexities of commercial real estate set them apart in the industry. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level or find that commercial real estate space that fits you, whether it's upsizing, downsizing, relocating, whatever it is, hit Cole or Tim up. You can find them on all social media platforms at buickrealestate.com, or you can just give them a call at 217-450-8500, and trust me, you will be in great hands. I also want to give a shout out to the sponsors of the shows. We've had 2 faithful show sponsors for every episode of this season, Season 3. One of which is Clean Cut Painting and Handyman. If you're in the need for reliable painting or handyman service, they are your go-to team for quality work and exceptional service. Whether you need a whole home makeover or just knocking a few things off the list you have been putting off, call and get Clean Cut scheduled today. And keep the space you spend your time in looking its best. You can find them on all social media platforms by searching Clean Cut Painting and Handyman, or you can find them online at cleancutservice.com. And lastly, I would like to thank the ever faithful Oakwood Screen Printing. Whether you're looking for custom apparel or promotional products, they specialize in bringing your ideas to life with top-notch, high-quality custom apparel. Check them out online at oakwoodscreenprinting.com and use promo code BB217 at checkout for 15% off online or in store. Check it. Boom. Boom. They hooked me up, man. They make all custom apparel, anything you would want. So get on there, get your 15% off. They're competing with everyone from anywhere. So thank you again to Buick Commercial Real Estate, Clean Cut Painting, Handyman, and Oakwood Screen Printing for your support of Beyond Business. Now let's jump into today's conversation. Joining me in the studio today for, I believe it'll be episode 10 or 11. is a guest that reached out to me and hopes to come on the show to promote and discuss a book he wrote called Just Call Me Dad. And so I obliged. So I guess we'll get to know this gentleman together. Welcome to the studio and enjoy the interview with Mr. Jim Minton. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Beyond Business today. As I've already introduced, we're going to get to know Jim a little bit together. Thank you for coming on here today. He brought along a copy of the book that I was just talking about, and we're going to get to hear a little bit about what inspired this. This looks like a photo you might have taken.
That was in the Mount Zion gym.
Okay, yeah. So you might know these people, huh?
Yep, JJ and the two grandkids.
All right. So let's do this. Did you grow up around here?
Yep, went to MacArthur.
Okay.
And,
so take us back. How long ago?
so that was in 1982 is when I graduated.
Okay.
So it was,
when you were in high school, were you a academic or an athlete or a little bit of both, or how'd that go?
When I was a kid, I was baseball all the time.
Okay.
I really thought I was gonna make a living playing baseball, and that was going pretty well through high school. That I batted .532 my senior year, and that still stands as the highest average at MacArthur.
Feel like it's probably not going to be beat. That's a damn good.
Well, there's always a few kids that
usually
come
about
along
532 if you only get 5 at bats
and challenge that. But then I went on to play college baseball at St. Xavier up in Chicago.
Okay,
is where I ended up at. I tell a little story in the book that I originally committed to Georgia Southern. I was down to Illinois and Georgia Southern.
Okay.
And I really wanted to play Division I baseball in the South. And so at the time, Georgia Southern was one of the top 25 schools in the country.
Okay.
And so I was all set to go there. And then kind of last minute, I thought, I don't really want to be 16 hours away from home.
Right.
And so I contacted Tom Deedon over at Illinois, and I said, I've decided I want to stay home and play there.
What position did you play in the field?
I was a catcher.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so today I spent about 20 years as a catcher.
And now your knees feel it?
So I shin splints is my my problem. But
so did you play all 4 years of college ball?
Played 3 years.
Okay.
And so in my third year is when JJ was born.
Okay.
And so I became a dad while I was in college. And
all right.
So that's kind of the nature of the book.
All right.
What at the time kind of seemed like it was a mistake, maybe
sure.
Not the way you had it planned.
It's all too familiar with a lot of people.
It really turned out to be God's plan, and I really can't imagine life without JJ now.
Yeah.
At this point, he's getting ready to celebrate his 40th birthday here before too long, and
there's a lot of us that have our own JJs. You know what I'm saying?
Noah, grandson Noah is 12, and Eli is 9, and so it's an awful lot of fun to see them compete in Mount Zion sports now.
See what you created, huh? Yeah, that's cool. So have you ever, since you started having a family, did you ever go back and play any, they have ball, they have, oh wait, I know the answer to this actually. Yeah, because so my generation is we went and played slow pitch softball competitively. Yeah. But wait, you played pride ball, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was really blessed that my brother Rick had gotten into that and was playing with the ADM teams at that time.
Yeah.
And so I got to
put them skills to work out at Borg Warner a little bit.
Yeah. So that was just all kinds of fun in order to do that and have really nice crowds. The very first softball that I played, we went to Clearwater, Florida. And our host down there was a guy named Kenny Erickson, who ended up being the women's Olympic softball coach. And so incredible just the people that I met in the course of that game. Michael White was a guy that played with us who's now the head women's coach at Texas. And I'm
going to tell you the velocity at which that, I don't know how you could even make the transition from being, a good baseball player does not equate a good fast pitch softball player by any stretch.
Well, when we went to Florida, we only had 9 players that went on that trip, 9 position players.
Okay.
So I had to play every game. Well, I went about 0 for 50 because I tried to jump in and start playing right away against the best pitchers in the world. And
It was impossible.
And it just, it was very difficult. So then after that, I came back, and the rest of that summer I played up in Bloomington. And then I played a couple years down in Taylorville, and then over the course of those 3 years, I kind of figured the game out.
Yeah.
And kind of figured out how to play, and then got to play 6 years.
Oh, nice.
In Decatur, and so we won national championships. In '93, we got second.
I remember it was a big deal. That's what Decatur did.
'93 we got second, and then '94 and '95 we won it. So it was great. We went to Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. We went in '95 when we won it was in Palm Springs.
Oh yeah.
We went on a tour of Canada one year to play in the Perth Shootout, and
so that
was a lot of fun. We went to Salt Lake City a lot of times,
and that was in your mind after you had hung it up. Right? I mean,
yep.
you thought your career was done, and
Yep.
you're like, whoa, another one was born.
Yep, for the most part. I mean, it's really disappointing. I had my son Curtis played baseball at Olivet Nazarene, and when he got done with baseball, this was like 5-6 years ago. There really isn't any place to go play and play that competitively.
Right.
In the nature of things, but
there's a few. They try to have a few little programs now, but even I remember there used to be like the Dean Phipps. They would play a little bit, but once it's over, it's pretty much over now. It seems like, but man, them are the glory days. That's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Matter of fact, I think your son played a little bit of slow pitch softball, didn't he?
He has. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say. I don't know how we managed to do it, but we turned underhand softball into a very competitive game also.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's cool. To be a record holder here locally is, that's something to say, hey, boys, step your game up. Right?
Yeah.
Come for that 500.
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked you this already, but is this the first book that you have written?
It is, and it will be the only book that I've...
And so is it something that you had worked on throughout your life, or is it just all of a sudden you said, you know what, look at what I got, look at what's going on, And is it a story or is it a teaching book?
Mostly teaching, but it does have the story kind of my life and the fact that I didn't think I did a very good job as a dad.
Okay.
When JJ was there, when JJ was 10 years old, I was 31.
Right.
And I was still playing fast pitch softball, and so it was really hard for me to take that competitiveness that I had and go to a 10-year-old game.
Right.
And so I felt like I was kind of that dad in regard to things. And so the kind of the theme of the book is the fact of trying to mature as a dad. And I was blessed that Curtis came along 10 years later. And then I had a daughter, Emily, a couple years after that. And so I had a little time to learn and grow in regard to things and to realize how important being a dad is.
So how is I'm sure at this point you have, but how is the conversations that I'm sure you've had with JJ of going, man, I wasn't trying to sell you short, but I'm killing it with your brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? Because it sounds like, I'm kind of asking, I have a 27-year-old and a 14-year-old. My 27-year-old was fresh out of high school. My 14-year-old was when I was 30, and I knew exactly what to do.
Yep. I mean,
so I get it, but
I we'll talk about JJ being my learning experience as such, and so I really wish there was some things that I could go back and do differently in regard to things, but I'm a big believer that God has a plan, and that things went as they were supposed to in regard today, and JJ is a little motto that I have in the book is build the home, change the world.
Okay.
And that's something that came from St. Paul's Lutheran Church. It was what we had for 20, 25 years. And so if I look at JJ right now, he's doing an incredible job of building his home in order to do that. And so feel real excited about that.
And anything you could undo in your past may change how great of a man he has become. So,
right.
It is. Yeah, I get that.
And
that's kind of life, right?
Yeah.
That hindsight life.
Yeah. But the book really is kind of the 20-year process of raising kids.
Yeah.
And just stuff that I was trying to learn in regard to things. And so we started keeping stuff on our refrigerator. And so as we were trying to teach the kids and help them, I really wanted Curtis to be a Division I baseball player.
Yeah.
I kind of missed my chance in order to do that. And I wanted him kind of to do the things that that I didn't quite get accomplished, and so I was kind of driving that way, and it, there was some things that worked out, some things that should have been done a little differently. He ended up playing at Olivet Nazarene, which is an NAIA school. It was a perfect place for him, and
Good school.
He's now works for an architectural firm up in Michigan and doing really well for himself. But he had a really good college career at Olivet.
Yeah. Sorry, you're not getting them dugout seats to no pro team, Dad.
Well, you work through some things and you see some people and so forth. What happened with Curtis is, to be a Division I baseball player, you have to be in the top 2% in the country. Well, Curtis came home and he got one day and he had his ACT and he got a 32 on his ACT, which puts him in the top 2% of students academically in throughout the country.
Okay.
And so, here I was trying to, teach him how to be a baseball player.
And you're like,
and he was fortunate to go through the Lutheran school and to go to St. Teresa and get a lot of good education there and through things that his mom did that really helped him to do extremely well in the classroom, which ultimately ended up being the
had nothing to do with that dang glove on his hand.
You mentioned about tickets that. I think about all of the great players that Curtis played with, and a lot of times the last game of the season or when they were going to move on to another team or something, I'm like, when you make it to the big leagues, don't forget me.
Yeah, for sure.
And none of them ended up getting there.
It's a pretty small percentage.
Yeah, it's a very, very small percentage. I was blessed to grow up with Kevin Kozlowski.
Ooh, yeah.
And he and I played Legion ball together. We played on a Legion team that finished second in state and second in a Central Plains regional. And so when that was quite the thrill when Kevin made it to the big leagues and getting to go see him play.
That was really close to home there, right?
And hang out with him so that you had some of that experience in regard to things.
It makes it feel possible then.
Yeah. And you just, you want the best for your kids.
Oh, yeah.
In regard to things. And it, when we talk about this concept of beyond business that you have, most of the people that played for the Pride worked at ADM.
Right.
That was kind of the natural thing to do. Well, there was a guy named Jim Cairns that was on the board of the Pride. Well, he was retiring from Prudential at that time, so he had a pretty well-established agency, and he asked me to take over that agency. And so that's how I got into the financial services business was through that. But so as I kind of got thrown into the fire there, and I really didn't know a lot about business. I had been baseball.
Right.
I got a degree from Millikan in journalism.
And what were you doing for a living at that point?
I had worked at WSOY for a little while.
Yeah.
And had done that. I had worked for a cookie company and
Okay.
sold cookies to grocery stores.
All right.
Prior to that. So when I
You just had gigs.
tried to pay the bills
That's
as such. And but as I tried to, okay, how am I going to do this? Well, I bought some tapes from Anthony Robbins. If you're familiar at all with, with who he is.
I'd say he's still doing pretty good for
so
himself.
I start listening to those tapes and so forth. And there was a guy named Paul Zane Pilzer who talked a lot about economics. And if you know Joel Fletcher, that when Joel first came to town, there was a guy that I played baseball with at St. Xavier that came to town with him. And so Joel and I met there, and so we would talk a lot about this Paul Zane Pilzer and things of that nature. But shortly after that, there was an interview with John Wooden, the basketball coach from UCLA.
Yeah.
And so that's what really grabbed my attention and got me started on a lot of things. And so a lot of the book is a lot of John Wooden and a lot of his little acronyms that go along with things. And so I've tried to take those things and to make sure that my kids know and understand them. But they're also just things that I've tried to, base my life on in regard to things and things that really help me.
How long have you been writing the book?
So like I say, it was about a 20-year process. I finished the book.
Did you know the whole time that you were putting something together, or finally one day you said, you know what, maybe I could shorten some people's headache a little bit here or there and help out?
I always it's kind of funny. I always really wanted to be a coach.
Yeah.
And I coach the kids.
Yeah.
I've done, a variety of different coaching in a variety of different ways, but it's never been a profession for me. I've always.
Matter of fact, Blake, right? Did you coach Blake?
Yeah. In sixth grade.
We got coaches in here. Blake's a coach now, full circle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And great to great to see that. But
yeah. I'm sure you get to see it a lot in the area. I mean, Mountain Zion is a good community, and anybody who sticks around. You know what I mean? If they're not moving to. Another small local community. You know what I mean? They're staying either close-knit or getting the heck out of here. Yeah. So that's good to see. But no, carry on with you getting kind of thrown into your career.
So just the the John Wooden end of things, that don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal, don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. And you can just catch yourself in life, making excuses, and you realize that's not going to help things. You got to figure out a way to work through things, that you're going to have ups and downs in life. I would talk about that, Curtis would make an excuse about something, and I'd say, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And he'd know Dad's being Dad, that he's that there's not such a good thing as a
good one,
as a good excuse, right. and so working through those things. But as it went through, I ended up developing this are 13 little slogans as such, that by the time we got done with our refrigerator, this was what was on our refrigerator.
Okay.
And so as I went through this, I really didn't start off with it thinking it was going to be a Christian book. But it, just as I developed it and as I learned and as I went along, I started teaching stuff at my church in regard to things.
Right.
And so at the time that it ended up getting finished, that it really became a Christian character development.
Yeah. You're like,
end of things.
Son of a gun, the whole time. I'm being a good guy too.
Well,
it's the way to go.
I'm a sinner in need of a savior.
As we all are, my man.
I talk about with the book. I've probably read that book 1,000 times because it's all of the stuff that I compiled to help me.
Yeah.
And so I wake up every day and, I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to deal with this today. And your attitude, you got the stinking thinking. And I can go to the book and I can find things that will help me, get going and keep a positive attitude. One of the little slogans that I got out of a Bible study that we did one time was serve rather than deserve. And, there's so many times in life where you feel like, I deserve this. I've worked really hard for this.
Yeah.
And why is this not working out?
Right.
And it's like, God, what's the deal here? And you think, okay, I need to just keep serving.
Yeah.
I was talking to a baseball coach one time about Curtis, and he was talking about the dads and how the dads would, if their kids would go 0 for 4, the dads wouldn't talk to the kids. And I'm like, I can relate to that because
I can. Yeah, I was gonna say our car rides home after a bad weekend suck.
It's like we worked so hard at this. We talked about this. And
how'd you go 2 for 9 this weekend? It's impossible.
And then you go back to the fact, okay, my job is to serve them.
Yeah.
And, we have so many things in life where, we
that hit close to home right there.
we don't approach things. One of the things in the book, Dan Cathy, who's the president of Chick-fil-A, he has a little thing that he talks about, where do you wear your napkin? That most people are going to wear their napkin under their neck, looking to be served. And a lot of people, most people, they're going to judge success by how many people serve you in regard to things. Where he says the better thing is to have that napkin on your wrist here, like somebody who's going to serve, and so that the goal should be how many people are you going to serve, as opposed to how many people that serve you. And so these are just things that I kept picking up. The in Decatur, we always had the community leaders breakfast. And so most of the people that came and spoke to the community leaders breakfast, I put them in they're in the book.
Yeah.
So just what they talked about and their stories. There was a guy named Andy Andrews that was very entertaining and a very good speaker and had a lot of great points to his stories.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Patrick Hughes that was really interesting. He was blind and he had really short arms, but he played in the band at Louisville, and his dad pushed him around in the marching band.
All right.
And so he came to Decatur to tell his story, and so that's in the book. Just it's interesting sometimes that you see people that are have some sort of a disability,
and they're killing it.
But they become really good at
something.
This kid at 3 years old was a very good musician.
Yeah.
And he couldn't see, and he basically was in a wheelchair all of his life, but he was able to do really well those particular things. And so, again, that the book is just a combination of all of these stories that I picked up over the years that I thought was terrific in order to help my kids learn.
Well, it's almost like how parallel. I mean, and I've been well aware of this, but how parallel, coaching and the business world is. You know what I mean? With even like with you've heard that, like, reps don't lie. The reps you do when no one's watching. This serve instead of deserve. It's the same idea. You know what I mean? To where just keep putting in the work. When you're supposed to get back for it, you will. And if you're not supposed to, you won't. You will how you're supposed to, though. That's really good. I like that. Serve, don't deserve. That's good.
Trying to work hard. Another one is don't be a victim.
That's good.
So many people that...
Poor me, man.
Yeah.
Poor me.
Kind of have a victim mentality. And that one of John Wooden's things was things turn out best for those who make the best of the way things turn out.
Yeah.
And, again, that's... A lot of times you have situations that occur and people are really hurting, and so you've got to let them hurt, you've got to let them grieve, but at some point, if they're still living, they gotta figure out how to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And how to take that tough situation and turn it around. I was blessed to JJ works full time with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Okay.
And so they do huddles in the schools. And so they have a little huddle that meets as a club before school at Mount Zion. They're really doing well with the high school class, but I got to meet with the 5th and 6th graders, right after the tragedy that happened and occurred out there. And actually, it was a few weeks after that I did that, and really didn't. There's a guy out there by the name of Nick Vujicic.
Okay. And
Nick was born with no arms and no legs. And so he's become a public speaker that goes around to churches that, if you are somebody that has a disability, if you can overcome a disability like that, it really gives you a heads up towards being a motivational speaker. And again, this really wasn't towards the particular situation that the kids were in at that time, but just the idea that life's rough and
things happen,
lots of things are going to be thrown at you, and you gotta grieve for a while, and it's tough, but you gotta overcome things. And,
some things you just can't.
Don't be a victim.
You can't. Yeah, you can't. There's a lot of life experience you can't teach or prepare people for. You know what I mean? Some people never experience certain things ever. So to prepare for it that's solid. Just to say, hey, figure out a way to not be a victim, deal with it, push on.
One of the things that I think that we have a little bit of a problem with parents today, if you could imagine your kid's going to be on the football team, so you go to the weight room and you lift weights for your son.
Right.
That doesn't help them. It doesn't help them at all.
Right. This is right.
But that's how a lot of people parent today.
Oh yeah.
They don't let their kids go through the struggles
to get there.
They don't let their kids. They don't provide. There's a guy named Kevin Liebman that talks about reality discipline, and so they don't let their kids, face enough of reality. In order to do that, and in order to, really help them grow and understand that.
Well, and I think so. People want to make it so they're the ones who, when their kid is confused, they're the ones who can make them understand. They can keep them from hurting. They can keep them from struggling. And it's like, yeah, but every one of those things is who builds. Those are character building things, So. And you can wrap them in bubble wrap as long as you want, but within one day, shit's gonna hurt bad.
You had Zach Keck in here, and the one time that. So I will go to my grandkids' games, and they lose a really close game, and the dads are so upset.
Oh yeah,
and why did we? And I look back now as a 60-year-old man, and I'm like. That was a great learning experience for him.
But you also understand why Zach's pissed.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. I was there. Yeah. That's how I was with JJ when
there's
JJ
nothing
was
to talk
there.
About. And tomorrow's practice is going to suck, dude.
and now you're just, that you can look more at the big picture, and how the big picture is going to turn out in regard to things because you've seen kids turn out.
Right.
I want to take a moment to highlight our incredible Season 3 sponsor, Vuig Commercial Real Estate. If you're in the market for commercial properties in Central Illinois, look no further than Vuig Commercial Real Estate. With a dedicated team led by Tim Vuig and Cole Babcock, they bring unparalleled expertise and a deep understanding of the local market to meet your commercial real estate needs. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, lease, or invest, Tim and Cole are committed to providing personalized service and guidance every step of the way. Their passion for helping clients navigate the complexities of commercial real estate sets them apart in the industry. So, if you're ready to take your business to the next level or find that perfect commercial space, reach out to Vuig Commercial Real Estate. You can find them on all social media platforms at viewigrealestate.com or give them a call at 217-450-8500. Trust me, you'll be in great hands. And thank you, Tim and Cole, for your unwavering support of our show. If you're looking to refresh your space or tackle that long-awaited project, Clean Cut Painting and Handyman is here to help. Clean Cut specializes in a wide range of services, from stunning interior and exterior painting and small construction projects to room remodels, deck staining, and flooring. They truly have the expertise to transform your home into the beautiful sanctuary you've always dreamed of, or even just take care of the things you have been putting off that need done. And guess what? They have some fantastic promotions running this March. If you book any interior painting project for March or April dates, you'll receive an incredible 15% off. It's a perfect time to give your home a fresh look just in time for spring. If you're thinking of sprucing up the outside of your home, they've got that covered too. You can enjoy 10% off exterior painting projects under $5,000. And if you're planning a larger project, get ready for a jaw-dropping $1,000 off any exterior painting projects over $5,000. So whether you're looking to enhance your home's curb appeal or make your interior pop, Clean Cut Painting and Handyman is the one to call. Visit their website or give them a call today to take advantage of these amazing offers. Remember, when you choose Clean Cut, you're not just getting a service, you're supporting a company that empowers women in the industry. If you're in the market for custom apparel, look no further than Oakwood Screen Printing. This company specializes in all things apparel, offering high-quality designs on everything from t-shirts to hoodies to hats to bags to jackets to wall art to office swag to mugs to tumblers to, well, you name it, and they customize it. Whether you're promoting your business, celebrating a special event, or just want to express your unique style, Oakwood Screen Printing has you covered. What sets them apart is their attention to detail and commitment to customer satisfaction. They use top-notch materials and the latest printing techniques to ensure your designs look vibrant and last for years to come. For a limited time, if you use promo code BB217 at checkout, you will receive an additional 15% off your order. So, if you want to make a statement with your apparel, reach out to Oakwood Screen Printing today at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. You won't be disappointed.
But I think that's it too, is even for, I mean, you even on the adult side of that equation, for Zach, you know, just like Cash is learning things, so is Zach. You know what I mean? So then one day he'll sit back and go, yeah, I could have. Yeah. I figure he probably knows we needed him to hit the ball.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what gets me is whenever, it'll be one of them long car rides home and then you sit there and go, yeah, I bet you I know another person who wishes they would have went 5 for 5. The kid in the passenger seat,
Yeah.
But it's the love of the game. You know, and I think that's it. But, yeah, I can't confuse it with turning that into you not being There's some people that turn that into let that trickle into parenting for sure, though. I have always at least had the ability to do that. Say, okay, the game's over. I mean, well, after we get home, which usually is about 3 hours.
Yeah.
But no, let's go. I like these. I like these.
Another one is there. One of the things that I did with Curtis as well was I would text him good, better, best, and he would know to respond, never let it rest until your good becomes better and your better becomes best.
Okay.
That was actually a line I first heard from a guy named Ken Johnson at an FCA event who billed himself as the chaplain for the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
It was kind of more assigned to Tim Duncan, who from the San Antonio Spurs, that in using that line. But when we researched the book, I actually found out that it went back to St. Jerome. That was originally always went all the way back to there. So again, to develop good habits in regard to things, and that kind of fits into the don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses in regard to things. I do some stuff for the 7th and 8th graders, the junior high kids out at Unity Christian LSA, and I'll go in and I'll tell them over and over again that your best ink pen is better than your worst memory, meaning that when you hear something good, write it down.
Right.
And, so that was kind of something that I learned to do. Every time I heard something good, I'd write it down and write it down. And
sometimes it sticks. If not, if not,
kind of go through it. And for most of them, I haven't got them to do that yet. They're
Right.
still,
Yeah.
they're still going by their memory. And someday you'll be 60 years old and you can't remember anything.
You'll say, well, that bank's empty.
You got to have written it down. But again, those kind of sort of habits just that are good for you to have to be able to really be able to take things to the next level in regard to there. Another one is that life isn't fair. You see so much today about trying to make life fair and trying to make things equal, and I think what's more important is to learn how to be a good winner.
Yep.
And then also to learn how to be a good loser in regard to things. In the loser part I talk about, going from failure to failure, going from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm. I'm sure when you're flying a drone, how many times did you fly it wrong?
Oh yeah, expensively too.
In order to figure out how to do it right, and so that that kids have to know how to do that. They've got to know how. They've got to know that failure is part of the process.
The most important part. Most of the time, I think it's probably the most important part is you learn more from failing because that's where your corrections come.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you just cruise right through something, then you knew from the beginning. There was no correction needed, no learning lessons. So, agreed there.
Yeah.
But to be prepared to go, hey man, life is not gonna go your way all the time, and it's not. There's not a reason. It doesn't have to be. It's not. It is unfair, and there's no reason for it. And
Yep.
yeah.
Another story I tell in the book is of Trevor Bayne. He won the 2011 Daytona 500.
Okay.
And so this was his first NASCAR season. I can't remember if it was his first NASCAR race. It was maybe his third race that he'd ever had in NASCAR, and he got to drive with the Wood brothers.
Okay.
And that particular year, they were really pushing each other. And so he had a car that was really good at pushing other cars. So like Jeff Gordon and all the big drivers, they wanted him to push them because they know that it would work well. So the whole race, he got behind other cars and pushed them. And it was just like he was saying, I'm going to help all these other guys out and see who. Well, they come down to the last lap. There's a wreck. And all of a sudden, he's in first place. And he goes around and ends up winning the race. And he had never won a whatever they would call the minor league series at that particular time. He'd never won a race there in regard to things. And here he was winning the Daytona 500. Well, after that, he got out of the car. And, here's somebody that he couldn't have been prepared. He couldn't have prepared anything. But he got out of there and he just absolutely handled it perfectly. That he thanked God for the ability to do that and how things worked out. He thanked his teammates that really pushed him and gave him around. The Wood brothers that were behind the car. He talked about all the other racers that he had worked with throughout the race.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he talked about how great it was. But he didn't do the look at me.
Right.
In
he was just like,
things.
I just landed here, man.
So here was a 21-year-old kid, and just was incredibly humble.
Right.
In regard to things. And so that's a story that, I'm a guy that I like a pat on the back. I like for people to think highly of me. And so that's a story that I can go back and watch. And it's like, okay, that's how we should be. The Super Bowl this year after the Super Bowl, I took the interview to show to the 7th and 8th grade kids that you had the coach from the Eagles that, again, did a very nice job of walking through things. Jalen Hurts, that they interviewed afterwards, did a really nice job of doing that. And so, again, that ability to be a good winner as well, that when you win, people are happy for you.
Yeah. It's, I guess when you pay attention to it, you know what I mean? If your focus is on it, there's, it's just crazy how everything's drawn towards the negative so much that, you know what I mean? That it's almost as if when someone does something solid, it just kind of goes, yep, okay, next. Yeah, where's the bad stuff?
Yeah.
Where's the bad?
It's, as part of this process, when my kids got their phones, you kind of knew that they were going to find the bad stuff.
Yep.
That you didn't have to help them do that.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure and try to get good stuff in front of them.
Yeah.
And so I became a YouTube junkie very early on in life and got a YouTube subscription. And it was kind of scary, but also really nice that YouTube would know, they would find all of these other videos for me.
Right.
That once I got to watching certain videos.
The early algorithm, it worked well.
They would find other stuff for me. And I got to where, when I would come home at night, I wouldn't watch that much TV. I would watch these YouTube videos. And so they would find pastors with sermons. You had like Albert Pujols that would share his faith. There's a real good site called I Am Second that has a lot of famous people sharing their faith.
Right.
And so you could find those and the ones that, seem good for your kids, that you would forward those on to them.
So let's touch a little bit more on what you did with the kids out there in Mount Zion after what happened. What is that? Is it an organization that you have that?
So it's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Okay, and how does that? Is it like in Mount Zion school, or is it not school? Is it not a specific school?
It's out at Meridian. I think it's Brian Chappell. It's a pastor in Blue Mound. Is doing a real nice, and Preston Potter works with him and does a real nice job with the Meridian kids. And so you're allowed to have various clubs that meet, before and after school. And so that's what the Fellowship of Christian Athletes does. It's a national organization.
And it's the school. It's allowed by the school, and the students can join. Basically, is kind of how it is. So
yep. So
it's not bringing church into school because you can't, but it's an elective, extracurricular if you want.
Yep. It's just a club. It can't be teacher led.
Okay.
So JJ.
Oh, it's a great idea.
JJ does that for the 5th and 6th graders out there. The junior high and the high school is done. I believe it's Kyle Osborne. And his wife.
Is there quite a few kids involved?
It's incredible what's going on. Mount Zion in the junior high and high school is getting almost 100 kids.
Oh, that's great.
They've had as many as 40 that come to the younger group. Charlie Spurlock and Brinkotter, both of those kids had attended.
Yeah.
And so again, that you give them an opportunity to hear a little bit of the gospel and so forth. I love to tell the story that in 1995, I had a buddy of mine that said, "Do you want to play 100 holes of golf in one day?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sign me up. This is great." So we signed up to do this, and we didn't know what it was for.
Right.
And so we got people to sponsor us per hole. Well, it was for FCA. And so I went over to Champaign to attend the meeting for this and met the wrestling coach from the U of I at that time. And he was a very strong Christian that had a very good message. And he really had a huge impact on my life at that time. But we ended up on 3 different occasions, we played 100 holes of golf in one day.
Okay.
In order to raise money for FCA. And so that's how I really got started and got involved. And it's kind of come full circle now that JJ works full-time and makes a living doing that. He's the Macon County rep. And
Oh, nice.
so they have a nice huddle going at Moreau Forsyth. And
So he's getting everywhere they can get him. He's trying to make sure they're filling them.
got a tremendous group of kids at Milliken.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he meets with the baseball kids on Friday morning, and then the overall group on Sunday nights. And they got a great group of kids. Kevin Kozlowski's kids are there now. And so that's
just
really
cool.
neat for me to see them all grown up.
Well, yeah, because we went through an era there that it was, if you didn't go to church was just a separate thing. You know what I mean? I have saw so my daughter who's 27 now, when she was a teenager, they started having and a lot of these churches have them now, these teen centers that are freaking amazing. You know what I mean? They really have huge groups. But I think having what you're talking about that your son's doing and what some of these churches are doing that wasn't there when I was a kid is if you make it so everyone has, you're not an outlier if you're the guy who goes to the church group. You know what I mean? To where it's almost not cool. Now everybody is exposed to being able to be a good person.
Yep, you
as opposed to where it used to be, get your good clothes out. It's Easter and to where now it's everywhere. It's cool. It's amazing.
Back in the day when JJ was going to Mount Zion and he was living with his mom out in Mount Zion, and so that was always kind of a little bit of a struggle.
Sure.
In regard to that. Well, they had FCA then.
Oh, okay.
And Brad Stewart would kind of lead it. And Brad was somebody I knew that I had grown up with, but he was the basketball coach out there then. And there was a kid named Mark McCullum that was the star of the basketball team, and he was involved with it. And
okay.
So it was really neat for JJ, to kind of be a part of that.
Yeah.
Well, full circle, JJ decides to go to work for FCA, and Brad Stewart was killed in a car accident. He was driving home from Quincy. He had coached. He coached for a lot of years in Mount Zion. Then he went to Chatham-Glenwood. And then Mark McCullum worked for a healthcare company. And they're big sponsors of FCA, and I can't think of their name at the moment. But Brad was working for them, and like I say, he got killed in a car accident. So the last 4 years, I believe it is. I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4 years. We've had an FCA golf tournament as a memorial to Brad.
Oh,
okay. It's been a tremendous success.
That's great.
For FCA and getting the name out there, and has really been a positive thing for Decatur.
Yeah, that's good. Turning tragedy into something good. That's what it's all about. So, would you say that this book is for dads, or is it for people? You know what I mean? Or is it for, would you say dads, or even for just not necessarily dads, maybe even business? A lot of the stuff you say in my business brain turns. You know what I mean? Even though you're relating it to coaching and parenting, it's like, it's a little life going on there.
See, I believe that Christianity is reality.
It is.
That if you want to understand how life works, I believe that Christianity is the best explanation for that. And that's something that, it took me a long time to come up with. That
okay.
As I was trying to do this, that wasn't really what I was trying to do. I'm trying to make myself better and successful and things of that nature. But it all kept taking me back to the Christian faith and
right.
What was really important in regard to things. There's a guy named Toby Mack, and he has a song called Jesus Freak. And so I kind of say I'm a Jesus freak in regard to things. But again, that there just are a lot of things that you can learn in life, and that if you really want to, understand how life works. And so that's kind of how I see the book a little bit. So our church's motto was build the home, change the world.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I wanted to call the book. But we had a fairly new pastor that was coming in at that time when the book was getting ready to be finished up. And he's like, that's kind of the church's thing.
Right.
And so we were driving out. My brother was getting inducted into the USA Softball Hall of Fame out in North Carolina.
Okay.
And so we were driving out there, and I'm kind of thinking, what do I need to call this? And then that's when it just kind of hit me, the process of just call me Dad.
Right.
That I've had a lot of success in sports. I've won a lot of things. I love my job. I love what I do from that perspective. But kind of the thing that really stands out to me is to be a dad.
Yeah.
And what it means to be a dad. And if you look at our world today, if you look at the inner city kids, what's one of the problems?
It's one of the missing links, right?
Yeah, they don't have that male influence to them. And so, the thing that I try to, the kind of the theme that I try to, push people is no matter where you're at in life, no matter what, your successes are or your failures, that it's just incredibly important to be the dad, and to win the generational relay race. We need our kids to turn out as good as we do or better. You'll see a lot of people today that are passing on having kids.
Yeah.
I kind of joke, what's the next generation going to look like if we don't have any kids?
Right.
It's not, and what's going to happen if we don't have good kids?
Right.
That we need them to be able to step up and be the leaders and go beyond business in the nature of things. And you can get yourself in a whole lot of hot water if you start talking, in regard to, and it's great that with what women are accomplishing these days and being CEOs and how much they're getting involved in business, but you still hope that that they don't lose that emphasis on being a mom.
Oh yeah,
and
that's the most important. That's huge. We can't do it.
Yep.
We can't do it. You know what I mean? There's nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, some things that you were blessed with.
Yep.
That's like the most important thing. I mean.
I wrote a book on being a dad. I always say that I really should have wrote a book on my wife because I believe she's the world's best mother.
Right.
She worked for Baby Talk for 20 years and has always been real involved in the nursery at our church, and she just is
seems to have it figured out. Huh?
Just is very good with kids and helping them grow. I believe a huge thing if you've got young kids is reading to them.
Yeah.
We have an awful lot of screen time these days that to open up a book and be able to read to them, that really helps them, and have them be able to read back to you, that's one of the really simple little basic things that will really help you down the road. And in my business, a lot of times that I don't mind if people call me a salesman, because I think that's a very important thing that you've got to be able to do.
Right.
That you've got to be able to
You mean
communicate.
I can talk to people? Yeah.
You had that came up, and I saw one of the podcasts that Kirby, with Jason Kirby, that came up with him.
Where we were talking about, God forbid you can actually talk to someone. It's a dying thing, man. It is.
And, I haven't done a very good job of it here because this is kind of a strange format and such, but, I think one of the most important things is to be a good listener. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
No. You're
so
here to talk.
My job here is to be the talker.
You are. Your job is here.
If we were at lunch together, a lot of times when I go to lunch, you try to see who gets done eating first.
Right.
Because that's
the one that was the listener.
that listened,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
did the best job of listening in regard to things. And so but you've got to be able to, present.
Yeah.
Even if you're flying a drone, you've got to go out there and be able to sell to people.
Yeah, that's only this much of it. Yeah, yeah.
Be able to communicate with people and be able to, to listen to people and be able to meet their needs.
Such a valid point. So you can go and get licensed and you can get a solid education and become a professional in several different industries. But unless you're going to go to work for a corporation that's just going to put you to work and cut you a check, you have to be able to interact with people. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, I take it back. A lot of times you can get away with a whole lot electronically. But man, I spend a lot of time on the phone. You know what I mean? Act with people who want to have a conversation or a Zoom or because it's nice to feel like you're talking to someone. Or the people who are cutting checks like to feel like they're talking to people, dealing with people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with what you said, though. It is to have you read to your kids read back to them, make them comfortable in situations that, like whenever I got to the point where you're standing up in front of a class and reading a paper or something like that, I was a nervous wreck. But then it made it so by the time you got out of high school, I'd already done it so many times that who cares? And it's like, why? When will you ever have to do this? And it's like, all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of lessons that could be learned. I try to look at the technology era, and I'm sure you do too, is, you ride the wave, whatever. I mean, we're the most technologically advanced and hitting a wave that we never have seen before. There's so many benefits of it. But what comes with that is the ability for it to be really bad. What are you going to do with it? You can have your kid. We're right now seeing the generation of kids that were raised on tablets. They're coming. They're here.
Yep.
Who they're. We'll see. Because we'll see right now. We'll see. because it was easier to say here. Do this at dinner, do this all the time. It was easier. And I don't know. I mean, there's studies that show that, certain things you can learn from screen time. But I know for certain that we've proven forever that human interaction, you for sure can learn.
You hear these things about people putting their phones down at dinner. Well, some of the best times that we had as a family would be when we were all sitting on our phones and we were telling each other what we were finding on our phones.
Right.
Did you know this person did this? Did you see this about that? And so it gave us something to talk about.
Rather than let's hurry up and get done so we can get to our phones. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that, it's just like any other tool.
Yeah. The idea behind it is let's focus on each other. Let's conversate with each other right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you look at your phones, when you look at technology, it's just, to me, it's I'm trying to figure out this, chat GBT and that you can pretty much ask it any question and it's got an answer for you.
And if you don't like it, just change a little bit.
Trying to, work through how that can, help you with things. And so again, it's, incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
But you've got to, I still go back to the fact that, I believe that there's that you've got. One of the things that I had developed out of this was that in your worldview, it's said you don't want to talk religion and politics, but I think if you're after the truth, that you sometimes got to get into those things. But,
right.
What I found as a way to do that was to talk about worldview. What are the glasses that you're going to use in order to view the world? And everybody's got one. So what I've tried to develop in the book and talk about in the book is to have a word view where you're looking at the world from a biblical perspective, and always trying to figure out, where God's at in the process of things.
Okay.
And so when you look at our phones and,
Yeah.
YouTube really helped my Christian faith because of the videos that they were, to get me. My daughter Emily, who I haven't talked about a whole lot, she's an art teacher. And so somehow she became really good at art. Her mom and I, that's really not our thing, but that was her thing. And she's an art teacher now. And so I can always, if I find anything art-wise, I'm always sending that to her, and that can, start a little conversation for us.
Sure.
So again, those things can be such a great tool for us and to really help us. The fact that, with Curtis and JJ and I are really developing this now, that we'll just text at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Just stay in touch.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
just a way to stay in tune.
But there, if there is something,
Yeah.
that needs to happen, that can happen with Curtis. He went through high school and then he went to Olivet. Well, when he went to Olivet, it was really hard on his mom because he and his mom would talk every night. Well, with Curtis and I, we text back and forth all the time. So when he went to school,
it was just like we can still text.
It was still the same thing. You could just keep texting, and now he's up in Michigan and working up there, and so it's still kind of the same thing. That we can text back and forth about
everything
things
is
that are going on, and you can really keep the relationship going.
Right. Well, and I've said it on a few of the podcasts with different people. There's really a lot. It's making it so there's less and less excuses for not either being who you should be, want to be, not knowing enough about something that you feel like you want to learn about. Like you're not waiting for a book to arrive anymore. If you want to figure something out, whether it's fixing the hole you put in your drywall or a spiritual journey or a self-help journey or a whatever, there's very accessible, that the crazy internet that has all this evil stuff on it also has the most amazing, you know what I mean? Truly is the window to the world as far as accessibility to everything.
Yep. The good is so much better.
Oh, yeah.
But the bad's kind of a lot.
I think it's whatever
you got to stay away from that.
Yeah,
You got to be able to manage.
Well, you click on that about one time and it's coming.
You got to be able to manage that. I mean, video games that you can get to where you spend way too much time on things of that nature. And I love my golf. I like to play golf and
everything is a moderation thing, right?
Yep.
Just over. I'm one of them who I'll make myself schedule time to not. I won't reply to I won't answer my phone. I won't nothing for a certain amount of time. I am just gonna think thoughts for a little while. Yeah. You know what I mean? Overstimulated from constant checking stuff. You know what I mean? Replying to stuff. Because I guess that's the downside is I can't imagine it being like, hey, if it's not between 8 and 4, you'll just hear from me tomorrow. I feel like people would lose their damn minds if I said that. It's like, wait, what do you not have a phone? Yeah, what do you can't, you're not asleep. Being at home is not an excuse.
In my job, it used to be the phone rang off the hook.
Yeah.
Well, now you got people sending you a Facebook message, and people,
they can always get you.
I've got a regular text and a business text.
Accessible. But the other times it's great.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're riding it. It's cool.
Come at you.
Like you said, there's more good than bad as long as you keep that in the forefront.
Yeah. One kind of last little maybe commercial that I'd like to throw in regard to things is that, JJ and the grandkids are very involved in Mount Zion and great things there. But I've continued to be involved with Unity Christian School, which is the old LSA.
Okay.
And that they felt the need to do a name change.
Yeah, what was that about?
At this point, because we've gotten to the point where the Lutheran churches are just going to have a hard time continuing to support the school. That as somebody said it, that Christianity really isn't. They don't have a home field advantage anymore like they used to. That less and less people are attending church in regard to things, and so the churches are getting a little bit smaller. The giving's getting a little bit smaller, and so it's always been in the past that the Lutheran churches had that it was a big thing in order to support the school, and that's still happening, but we could use a little help, and so as we look at beyond business and the people that you're reaching out to, that if anybody would want to have any interest in the school, maybe with a student going there, or as far as in being able to support it and able to work things in there, that I think that's it's you've got great schools, in the area, but for some people, the Decatur Public Schools aren't a great fit for them, and so I think there's a lot of opportunity there at Unity Christian in order to be the right fit for kids. The fact that in public schools you've got to kind of be careful what you do in regard to teaching Jesus, whereas Unity Christian can do that as a as a full-time approach in the nature of things. And occasionally they came up with a good football team or a good basketball team. Right now they're really thriving in volleyball and what they're able to do from that end. But Unity Christian is K through 12. They actually have pre-kindergarten as well, and then kindergarten that goes up. But our hope is to bring some unity to the Christian community. And so we really like our Lutheran roots, and we really don't want to give up our Lutheran roots. But
that's the only Christian school in town, isn't it?
You got St. Teresa on the Catholic end. And
my son goes there, but we're not. I mean, we're not Catholic. Like, the Mass is just a class, as far as I'm concerned. In that regard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep. So so you do have Decatur Christian that's still
Decatur Christian
still going as well. But again, I this is something that's been, my wife and I both went there when we were kids, and something that I think's a big part of our community and really serves our community well. And
it's growing. It's getting bigger. I see you got some solar panels out there too.
And again, trying to find ways in order to fund things. Yeah. And so as we look at trying to have Decatur be the kind of town that we want it to be. Yeah. In
school education is important. That's where it starts, man. The kids
to be able to build some future leaders and to build some kids that are different.
So there you go, man. If you're out there and you're thinking about it or didn't know that it was a need in the community, Unity Christian. That's the name of it now, huh? Unity Christian.
Yep.
What's your position there? Do you teach or anything? Or
I go out every other Friday. So basically off and on for 15 years, I've taught the book out there.
Okay.
And so, and that's part of how the book started. Kyle Karsten from the Salvation Army, he was originally out there as a superintendent. And so I started doing some of the YouTube classes and so forth, and just stuff that I came up with from that perspective, and did that through there, and so that's again what kind of grew into the book.
Well, guys, where do they get a copy of this book? If someone wanted to get one, you got a website? Oh,
So-
and you got the thing in your lap is right here on the inside of the cover of this.
Yep. So the idea is that this would go on your refrigerator.
Yeah.
And would be something to work off of in teaching kids. So it's in the book, but then I always throw an extra copy in there for people.
Oh, that's
if they
cool.
would,
This is cool.
would want to do that. Books available on Amazon, wherever books are available. But I have a blog that is betterdads.betterkids.com.
Yep, I'll throw that link up with this too. Well, I will tell you, I'm going to read this in the next week or so because you got me curious. In the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is describing me.
Well, when I went out and spoke to the Royal Forsyth football team one time, I know you had Josh Joseph on here, and Josh asked me if it was a good bathroom read, and I said, yeah, I think it is, because it kind of reads like a devotional. It's
broke down.
Every page is kind of a new story.
Okay, so you don't have to just...
If you see how I talk here, you put a quarter in me and I go and go and go. The book's kind of the same way, that it tells a story, goes to the next story, goes to the next story.
Okay.
And so you can kind of sit down and open up the book, and kind of initially I would, kind of do that. It's like, okay, God, what do you want to, what do you want to talk today? I mean, I think it's incredibly important. I would love to see people get back to where they're really studying the Bible and really opening up the Bible to hear what God has to say. But to me, this is kind of something that would kind of lead you there.
Yeah.
In regard to game, that again, it's a lot of stories that, a lot of them are just about life.
Yeah.
And how to get through life, but.
And whether it's something that's a good read or a lesson learned, it's something.
And in the process of doing that, it just really led me back to God and the Bible and how important that is.
All right. Well, there you go, guys, if you want to check it out. Hey, and if you're out there, and I don't know if everyone is aware or not, but man, if you're out there going to church, or even if you're not, get your kids involved. It sounds like a lot of these schools have the program like that your son's involved.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yeah. Maybe look into that for them.
MaconCountyFCA.org.
Bam.
Is the website
Look at
for that.
MaconCountyFCA.org.
Yeah.
See about getting your kids involved. Kids are involved in less and less extracurriculars, it seems like. And what a great, again, it's a no-brainer. Even if it's something you're not so much into, let your kids get a jump start. On doing right. Thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate you coming in, and you guys check this book out for this guy.
I had always heard about Woody.
Yeah, Woody's a great dude, man.
And I never really knew Woody.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same situation with you. You
Yeah.
know, we know all the same people. But,
Yeah.
and so.
And I've stuck around and saw Woody's journey. So even when he got to come in here, I'm sitting there going, whoa, dude, you soaked it up, bro. You got smarter.
So then in one night I'm sitting down to look at YouTube and see what it's got for me, and it had you and Woody.
Up. So let's go.
And
so
I
you
followed that, and then you had Blake on there.
Yeah.
Was one not long after that, and then you had Zach on there.
Yeah,
and,
said let's go.
A lot of good folks. Are you familiar at all with Shem Sanders?
I'm not.
He would be somebody to reach out. That's a great story. He has Shemila's Outreach.
Oh, I know. I'm familiar with that, but I don't. Okay.
His daughter was.
I believe I see it on a vehicle or something.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of them
Yeah.
out there, and Shem's just working really hard with our inner city kids. But
Okay. I might have to get
he's
a little bit of information on that.
He's a great story for Beyond Business
Okay.
Indicator.
Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming in and chatting. And yeah, if you guys are interested, get the book on Amazon. I'll plug everything underneath this. You'll see where you can check out his blog. You can. I'll put a link to the book on Amazon. I'll also put a link to where you can see if how come you can't get your kids involved in and the programs that they have going on here. Be kind to each other, and we will catch you on the next one. Thank you. Hey there, before I let you go today, I wanted to take a quick second to remind you about our sponsors and let you know if you have any need in the commercial real estate market. Please don't hesitate on reaching out to Viewig Commercial Real Estate. You can find them at viewigcommercialrealestate.com or 217-450-8500. Hit up Cole Babcock on all social media platforms, and he is there to help guide you through your buying, selling, investing, leasing, upgrading, downgrading, downsizing, relocating, whatever you need in the commercial real estate space. He would be the man to do it. Hit him up, viewigrealestate.com. Also, Oakwood Screen Printing. For all your apparel needs, contact Oakwood Screen Printing at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. They specialize in everything that you wear, all garments, hats, jackets, sweaters, hoodies, pants, bags, tumblers, office swag, house swag. Support your school, support your team, support your company. Just represent your own unique style by hooking up with Michelle and her crew over there at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. And if you use promo code BB217, you'll get an additional 15% off at checkout. So don't forget to hit them up and get your apparel game in order. Last but not least, Clean Cut Painting and Handyman. If you have any need for small construction projects, room remodels, painting, interior or exterior, hit up Clean Cut Painting and Handyman. They are your go-to. They are reliable. They are efficient. They are proficient. It's good quality work. Good group of people, solid company. Get them on your schedule to get your space upgraded. Thank you all. We'll catch you on the next one.
We're fully prepared, brought to you by Viewig Real Estate. Let's dive deep, it's gonna be great. So grab a seat, don't miss the ride. Beyond Business with Nick, let's take it in stride. Join the conversation, let's make